The potential for Belfast to become a city that can compete on the level of some of the UK's biggest economic powerhouses is certain. It has some of the world's biggest financial services firms, a considerable student population, and it is rapidly coming into its own as a major tech hub. All the right elements to attracting inward investment, but for one thing, Belfast's ongoing political instability. Panellists at Estates Gazette's Belfast Question Time agreed Stormont's failure to achieve cohesive governance was the greatest barrier to economic progress.
The perception of Belfast and Northern Ireland is damaged by the political instability, by the sideshows in the press and all the rest. And that's not helpful, because what we've done here, we have clients coming from all over the world to visit what we've done, to look at the facilities we have. If there was one thing I could magic wand away, would be have political stability, please, and let's just move on with doing stuff which we're all here to do, you know.
If we're going to attract corporates and we're going to attract institutional investment, then people need to know if they're going to invest their money here for 5 or 10 years that they're doing it on a steady ground rather than the unknown.
Politicians' failures aside, sentiment is high in the Belfast property industry. With devolved planning powers, development control is now firmly in the hands of town halls. And Belfast City Council has just unveiled an £18.7 million investment fund to bring forward projects that will rejuvenate the city centre.
We are really underperforming. We're about 18th. Whenever Victoria Square was built, we were about 14th city in the UK for retail. We should be up in the top 10.
The message that rang loud and clear was the desperate need for new Grade A offices. But there was recognition that without the right fundamentals in place, or a catalyst to build, developers will be sitting tight for a while.
Would encourage anyone to sort of support in terms of financial initiatives to get that moving and going, because I think the lack of that will really hold back investment and the way the economy should move forward in Belfast. There's
probably a general consensus that it's uneconomic to build office space until rents get to a certain level. Then you have to have the appropriate funding structures in place to allow projects to be built.
I think it is happening. There's definitely people in and around the city centre who are looking, and it's going to take a bit of time for that to come through. By the time properties come to the market, they buy them and they get their planning applications submitted. But certainly I think in the next 6 to 12 months you will see that happening, and I think it needs to happen to push that sort of, shall we say, developer-driven market rather than occupier-driven.
The impact of Belfast's student population on the city's economic future could not be underestimated, the panellists agreed. A wave of new student housing and further development submitted for planning was testament to this. But the key is creating an environment that will make students want to stay long after they've graduated. To a degree, the city's reputation for attracting ambitious tech companies depends on it.
We have the good fortune of having two of the very top universities now in the city centre, along with Belfast Met. That is our #1 selling point for foreign direct investment, are the skills that we produce. That's why it's so important to have students in the city, but they also bring vibrancy and they spend their money as well.
The universities, they are still growing. Articles in the press about tripling the international students into the city centre in the next 2 or 3 years. If you look at it, we have the lowest ratio of purpose-built private student accommodation by a country mile to anywhere else in the UK. I think we've just over 2,000 beds for 40,000 students.
As long as the planning service locate them in the right locations, I think if they're not centralised in one sole location, so if they run from York Street right the way up to Queen's, I think it'll be a good thing. It'll bring life back to the city centre.
We're going to have a presence of 750 people by 2019. We've got 400 of those to go in the next 4 years. Sort of the leadership team in London now believe Belfast is the place to invest, and I suppose I'm encouraged, and we get them over here at least once a month in terms of the leadership team to make sure and to see what has been done. So what we're going to do is keep investing, keep recruiting, keep building the teams, and I'm sure my colleagues in the panel will make sure we have office accommodation when required,
With students key to securing Belfast's economic future, it is in the hands of decision makers now to create the desired environment. Played right, and Belfast's ambitions to be a top-tier UK city could be well within its grasp. This is Rebecca Kent reporting for Estates Gazette.